Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream. Hope you're doing well. Let me know how the sound balance is for everything so far. It's been a hot minute since I've streamed, hasn't it? Hope you're all doing well as usual. So for anybody who's catching the streams for the first time or coming into them like later, welcome to the streams. I just kind of casually go through a lot of FromSoft games, and this is going to be the first time I'm going through Shadow of the Erdtree, like, with an audience. There's still a lot about the lore that I still want to research, so my theories aren't going to be nearly as formulated as I'd like, but, you know, just kind of the fun. So for anybody who did not catch, like, the first part of these series of streams, I kind of prepped a character, if you could even really call it prepped, for going into the DLC. And after going through the DLC and actually seeing what it's like, I'm thinking that I'm really not as prepped as I should be. Oh, I did kill X. I thought I gave up on him. Okay, anyway. So, yeah, I'm not going to go into the DLC at level 77 just because of how intensely it scales. So I'm going to just kind of pick up where I left off and do things that way. So the things that I did not do pretty much on this playthrough was I didn't deal with Radahn, I didn't deal with Moog, but I got like right next to both of them, so that way if there was like a quest associated with them, I could have like gone in and done that stuff before killing them. I didn't deal with Millennia, but I went all the way up there as well. So I also didn't deal with Rykard just because I was kind of running out of time, because it just took me a while. So besides that, there's a lot of like side content which I still haven't done. I probably want to go back and kill a couple illustrated tree spirits. So long story short is I'm not getting into the DLC today because I still need to catch up on some things. So anyway, Jonah, So Philanthropist, George Allen, Scaleezy, Rex, True Connoisseur, Save Frog, Sarcastic, Elden Enthusiast, Clonscum, Scaleezy. Nice to have all of you in chat. How's it going? Am I glad the DLC answered every single mystery from the base game? Oh, I'm absolutely astounded with how they managed to pull that off. How about you? Yeah, no. So Scaleezy brings up a really good question about spoilers. Yeah, pretty much spoiler warning if you're trying to come in and not be spoiled over a month after the DLC's been released. So yeah, pretty much everything is on the table. But I'll probably like reserve some things for when it's just like a little bit more appropriate to talk about them at times, which I'm not entirely sure what I would consider like off limits right now. It'll probably just be like going with the flow and whatnot. Enter Y, welcome on in. Say Frog loves all the Gek lore, indeed. All right, so I figure right now we'll deal with. No, I lied. I'm not going to deal with Radahn yet. I'm going to go deal with the Godskin Apostle up in the place, so that way I could get the what's called the Godslayer's greatsword, and I might just rock that for a bit as we head into the DLC. Oh yeah, I was doing this playthrough HUDless, wasn't I? I'm probably not going to do that on the actual DLC portion of the game. I might just not do it now, because I'm just like not really feeling it. Hey Tanner, nice to see you again. Nectarine, House of Red Wine, we are back indeed. You love how FromSoft answered so many questions that nobody had, or answered, yeah, so many questions that nobody had, just like your favorite DLC, The Ringed City. I don't know, like, I understand the comparisons, but I feel like in many ways I wasn't really disappointed with where the Ringed City went. I also didn't really have like a bunch of high expectations for the Ringed City as I did for this, but I feel like Shadow of the Erdtree really didn't help itself by making it seem like there's going to be a lot more direct ties to America and or her ascension to power. So I do agree in a lot of ways that Shadow of the Erdtree does seem quite similar to the Ringed City, because we've got like some pretty pivotal stuff. I think this is just like materials. In terms of like understanding some of the mechanics of Elden Ring, like the stuff with putrescence is really cool to me. I am in the Dragon Barrel, so I do no damage. But like a lot of the things that I thought the DLC was going to touch on, it didn't. Like, you know, all that Gek lore that we were waiting for. Now, I always forget which way is the actual way to proceed. Uh-oh. I thought I was two-handing. Okay, I was not. Gonna get beat by this dude. I deal no damage. Hey, Professor 726, nice to see you. Were you called Professor Gomez before? I'm really bad at remembering names, but nice to see you again. Nectarine's disappointed with the lack of Godwin. Yeah, I saw some like random tweets that alleged that Mikola had like Eclipse-style eyes, which I feel all really bad for all of the Godwin truthers. Yeah, I thought this one was a red herring. A dead end, as it were. Where is it? It is. Not trying to touch the bloodstain. Okay. Hey, I've remembered somebody's name. Sweet. True Connoisseur said, the difference lore-wise is DS3's base game was already rocky, so the Ring City being kind of detached from it felt in line with the overall fragmented base game. That's a really good point, too, when you like say it that way. That... I don't go that way, do I? I know there's like some pretty minor materials in like one of the dead ends that I'm not too worried about, which is partly why I never remember the actual way to go. Maybe this is the right way. I feel like it shouldn't be, though. And everybody's favorite Elden parkour. I guess that was right. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go for the Godslayer's Greatsword. So, my original goal for this character was to do like this Confessor-style playthrough. And then actually after going through the DLC, I'm like, nah, I'm just going to try to overpower things with the Colossal weapons after all. Just because, like, there's a couple places where this type of, like, what I was originally intending playstyle would have been okay. But generally speaking, I feel like White Shadow's Lure and whatnot, or whatever it's called, is probably not the best way to go. Hey Cosmos, how's it going? Why are we HUDless? Because it's cool. How's it going, man? You working on any videos right now? Or are you just like still trying to wrap your head around it? Oh yeah, we get icons for that stuff now. Okay, so I still do have Flaming Strike on. Still simmering? Understandable. It's interesting what word to use there, simmering. Oh yeah, and for anybody who doesn't know, Cosmos is also a lore content creator. I definitely recommend checking out his channel. He also streams from time to time on both Twitch and YouTube. I was trying to like jump attack, like, oh, I wasn't even locked on. And Boris, nice to see you again. Utel the HUDless. Okay. I hit the wall. I know there's kind of an easier way to go, but this way's like a little bit faster if you don't screw it up. Pro tip right there. I must have like the tutorials off because there's no loading screen text. For a sec, you thought I'd survive. If I didn't clip the corner, I would have. Uh-oh. I thought I was going to get knocked off for a second there. It does suck when that happens, though. When they get their own iframes. It's only me. Because I'm stubborn and want to get it right. Now the real tricky part is to navigate this spot without dying. There's like one drop like towards the end, which pretty much always gets me. Oof. Alright. Is this the spot where I just drop normally? Oh no, no, no. I just never ever do it this way. Say Frog loves the music in here. Yeah, I really do like the Divine Tower theme. I probably overuse it for my lore videos. That's actually one of the parts that I liked the most about the DLC, was having a little bit more mellow tracks to kind of round out my lore theorizing stuff. Because I don't always need like the Godskin Apostle theme going on in the background. Just being loud as hell. So we've got a black flame dude over there, but we will go ahead and unlock the shortcut. So my first time playing Elden Ring, I spent literal hours trying to grind the black flame monk set here because I really, really wanted their sword, but they don't drop them here for whatever reason. Only some like random monk in the fire giant, what's it called? Hero Conquering Grave, whatever it is. Hey Kyle, how's it going? Scallies says there's DLC. You've been replaying a lot of it and trying to see everything from another angle. What if a lot of the cultures came after America, not before? I have been trying to do some real mental gymnastics to figure things out myself. And really trying to alter like what some of my preconceived notions of the timeline were. And one of the weirder ones that I was just thinking about like recently, earlier today, like right before stream, I'm trying to like see if it would work, because like my gut instinct is no, like no way in hell does this work, but you never know anymore. Would be whether or not the Shadow Tree, or as most people would call it, the Skidoo Tree, is actually a manifestation of Mikola and his psyche, potentially as a result of the Halig Tree, but that part isn't necessarily like necessary. It's not necessarily necessary. Wait, does this always work this way? I am an idiot. I've never dropped down this way. I've always parkoured on top to the top of this beam and landed on top of the cage from another angle. I must have never noticed the cracks. I can't even tell you how many times I've actually come down this tower because of me being stubborn and not having enough save files. And reverting my save file, but not like coming through the Dragon Barrow because it's just kind of out of the way for no real reason. So anyway, let's go ahead and rest again. So yeah, I know like the Shadow Tree avatar drops Mikola's Great Rune, so I was like, wait a second. There's like some weird stuff going around with like the Shadow Tree in general. It's like, it seems like it should be really old, or maybe not really old, but you know, relatively old, older than Mikola at the very least. So I had to really rethink some things to see if it's possible that it could have always been a Mikolan reference. I was trying to run attack. I got really lucky there. I don't know how I jumped over that attack. Okay. Yeah, so going back to what Kyle was asking, I read your comment, just not out loud. Man, I really don't want to talk about the context of this because it's just kind of a pain in the ass, but for longtime viewers of my channel, you knew that I believed that the Crucible was just a reference to Godfrey's Erdtree because we didn't have enough evidence to suggest that it definitively came before, and there's like some weird ambiguities in the Japanese, which could have allowed for that. That was a bad roll. Apparently I don't know how to talk and play at the same time, like unironically. I laughed because I should have known better than to heal like that against this dude. Alright, so I've rethought a lot of my opinions about like the Crucible and the timeline, and then after having made my last video and talking about Divine Invocation, the Divine Birdwing says that Divine Invocation is like the Golden Crucible, and like the first time I read it, I thought it was more or less saying that it was part of the Golden Crucible. I was like, oh damn, so then it definitively came. Wait, what do I do? How do I even use this Ash for? Probably have to press R1 after the fact. Alright, less HP than I thought. I should have remembered, because I'm only level 77, and the Dragon Barrow region is pretty beefy. So anyway, I will complete my thought before dealing with the Godskin dude, just because I'm going to be too scatterbrained otherwise. Okay, I press R2. So what was I saying with the Crucible, right? So yeah, now I'm like rethinking what I thought I knew about the Crucible. Like, I'm back on my bullcrap again, like legitimately wondering if the Crucible actually was Godfrey's Erdtree after all, which does not seem very intuitive by any means, and I don't like really fully buy this anymore as it is anyway. I'm just screwing up. Alright, I'll just leave this dude alone. Ooh, Black Flame Monk armor. Oh yeah, I took more damage than I thought. Okay. And so yeah, man, just everything relating to everything timeline-wise, like the Horn Scent, America, Godfrey, the Shadow Tree, Crucible, it's just all a super headache. Like, I didn't necessarily expect the DLC to give us direct answers, but I also didn't necessarily expect such complications to arise the way that they did. What am I doing? I just need to be aggressive. These dudes don't like being hit. Hey Tony, how's it going? What's my opinion on the last boss's difficulty? I think it's extremely unfortunate, and it kind of like ruins a lot of the DLC. Like, if the last boss was more reasonable, I feel like my overall impressions of the DLC would have been more positive as far as like boss difficulty goes. But I just feel like in general, they're a little too hyper aggressive, and that last boss just has way too much going on for like no good reason. Hey Meow Laser, nice to see you again. Rex Page is still in the Crucible, just with the Lands Between Nose DNA as. Yeah, I think that's a very strong possibility. But the thing that trips me up about that the most is Siluria's tree description, the spear, which says that it's modeled on that which was the Crucible, and it's modeled on a tree. So it's saying that the Crucible is a tree, which is wild. And so I've unironically wondered whether or not the Hornsent culture or whatever culture preceded... Okay, now I remember my train of thought. Whether the Hornsent culture or what preceded them had their own tree, a spiral tree, because that's like on all of their images in that area. And whether or not that could have been the Crucible. I got really lucky with those rolls. Those were not good rolls for me. Honestly, after the DLC, fighting the Godskin Apostle is kind of tripping me out. Just because he's not attacking as often as I think he should. Obviously, I got clipped there, but I'm just like... What are all these openings? What do I do? I actually really like the Godskin fights. Like, I think these are really fair enemies. And everybody hates the duo fights for, you know, fairly good reasons. Or I should say duo fights, really. I'm gonna get hurt. Okay, nope. I don't even know what my physic thing does. Uh-oh. That was a way too early roll. Oh yeah, so... with all that stuff talking about the Crucible and some trees and whatnot, I've wondered whether or not the Hornsent are a post-Godfrey culture to a certain extent. And what I mean by that is I think like Anir Elim is probably earlier, but I think the Hornsent people could have come in later. Why do I'm regaining my HP? Oh, it's probably because I don't really have a decent variety of tiers yet. Why did I roll that way? This dude's kicking my ass. I'm out of heals. Okay, I should play better. That's not playing better. I should roll forward. I'm playing too passively. Like, way too passively. Oh, I'm gonna die. Okay. Hey, Leon Highwind, welcome on in. You're curious about all the items that mention spirituality? They all seem to have a connection to the Crucible as well. So, yeah, like that whole ancient holiness and everything like relating to gold and primordial gold is just so annoying in a lot of ways. And I asked this in my Discord yesterday, I think it was, that the damn story trailer talks about the birth of gold and shadow, and then I'm like, wait a second, does this mean gold as in like the gold that came after so-called primordial gold? Uh-oh. I should have jump attacked. Yeah, Cosmos thinks the original Crucible is gone and that its energy dispersed. I'm just like such on the fence right now, or so on the fence right now. Because, I mean, I've definitely entertained that as a possibility. I wasn't trying to roll the second time. But all of this stuff with the Crucible Knights and all of them being, like, related to Godfrey's forces just really bothers me. I rolled too early. My positioning was off on that other one. Slink Scoob. Ah. My dodge came out slowly. How did I missed? That sucks. Come on, roll. Uh-oh. Okay. Thought so. So I should be able to get like one hit off and then he'll phase. Second attack. I should have spam rolled. That was me. I like looked at my health. Sunk Scoob. Okay. Just don't get hit, thanks. Elden thinks the Crucible is the sun. Yeah, I'll still say that I think Siluria's tree description like messes with a lot of that stuff. But there does seem to be like a definitive connection between the sun and the Erdtree or the shadow tree. Something. There we go. Do you see a black down arrow in the buff bar? What do I even have on? Nothing good. Wait, why do I only have this stuff on? What is with... wait, did I get footage? I don't think I would have. No. I don't even know what I'm doing, apparently. Oh yeah, I can actually cast magic. I could just rot this dude. What am I doing? I'm not playing with my head, apparently. Just too busy talking. I need the turtle one. Anyway. I'll just do that for now. Okay. Cal thinks that the Erdtree was split from the Shadow Tree, and when they were whole, it was the Crucible. Well, see, that in and of itself, I mean, I guess it depends on like what you mean by whole, because like the Crucible, if it is related to like the actual Erdtree, should be born with like the Giants' War. Come on, bro. I swear I did not try to walk into that attack. I tried to like roll through it, but it didn't work. I'm out of... Oh, I don't have any mind. This is not the best plan, huh? Oh. I forgot. I don't necessarily have to play mano a mano. I can just choose. Uh-oh. Alright. I get caught up in my ways sometimes. Oh, he got both of my guys. They did their part. Wait, why do I have so much? That explains why. I don't even know what is going on with this character. Why do I have so many mana flasks? I was like, man, I didn't realize I got so few heals. Or like so many, what are they called? Fragments? Not fragments. Seeds? Alright. This will make things easier. Oh yeah, I should also check my physics situation. We can fix all of this. Trying to farm that sword. I know, right? One of the swords. Negates damage, restores HP. Not good enough, I suppose. Rex thinks that the Crucible has many representations possible. Why I didn't switch my flasks. Well, we'll just have to do it live. Oh, I did manage to get all of my things before. Oh man, the Black Flame dude's still pissed off. That's not good. Stab him. Come on. Come on, Skullabros. Oh, he's already rotted. Here I am trying to kite him away from my guy. Bro, dodge. Damn it. That's what I get for being cheeky. Oh no, my guy. Ooh, it's not good. I think I'm gonna be out of stamina. Oh no, I think I was actually out of stamina, so if I was backing up, I would have walked away, but I was trying to roll through it. Oh, that sucks. Okay. I had my flask, I forgot. But now I can switch my flasks. Damn, that's my hubris right there, because if I'd actually switched them, I would have been able to heal and been fine. Okay. What was I doing? Okay. Bale attacks with Citisax, and then the Greater Will says, screw the dragons, time for plan B. Uh-oh. Damn Black Flame Monk. He's ruining my style. Bro, leave him alone. Oh, listened. It did not listen. What is this guy doing? That should be enough. Regain some stam. Nah, I don't think the Crucible was the fire giant Crucible thing. Oh, that's a terrible roll. That's a terrible time. But Skelebro saved me, really. I was afraid I was about to get stabbed in the back by the monk. Wow! Sag. Okay. Kill the Black Flame Monk, and then just, you know, get good. Hey, Counting Sheep, is this character in the DLC? No, so this was the character that I had been prepping for the DLC, and then I'm like, I'm not prepped. I'm not prepped at all. I mean, I could potentially go into the DLC, but I mean, if I'm struggling against the, what's his face? The Godskin Apostle, I'm probably going to be on the struggle bus against Moog. I mean, we're just farming the Black Flame Monk set, guys. That's really what we're doing, right? Hey, Throne, how's it going? Is this Faith Strength or Faith Dex? A little bit of Faith Strength right now. I'll probably be switching into more of the Arcane stat as well as we go into the DLC, just so that way I can use the Ancient Meteoric or Greatsword, because I kind of fell in love with it. Alright, it's perfect. Do I have the Baldachin's Blessings in the inventory? Probably. I'm not too worried about that loss of HP, but I appreciate the call out though. Uh-oh. I can't believe I got one shot by this guy. Well, if I play like this, don't need to get one shot. I'm just trying to not get stuck in a corner next to that dude. That's terrible. What build am I even using? This isn't really a complete build by any means because I'm like level 77 right now. So this is like the precursor to the Godslayer Greatsword build. There we go. Godskin Apostle hood, robe, bracelets, trousers. And I was like, why isn't the music fading? Okay. Now we can actually read a bunch of lore stuff. Godslayer's Greatsword, baby. Alright. Sweet. Hey Jonah, how's it going? Late enough to see me get my ass kicked by the Godskin Apostle. But welcome back in. One of my favorite spirit summons. I really don't use spirit summons enough to have favorites, so I guess I'd have to say the Skeletal Militiaman by default. I really like the idea of the Inquisitors, but from the very, very little that I tested them for like footage, they did not seem that impactful, which is kind of annoying. I think the Horn-Sent Warrior Spirit Ash looks really good, though. I haven't played with that one, though. Oh, Black Flame got nerfed for the DLC? I didn't know that. Hey, Stella, nice to see you again. Alright, Black Flame Monk Armor. Black iron armor adorned with ashen cloth attire the Black Flame Monks. The Black Flame Monks, enthralled by the god-slaying Black Flame, became traitors, abandoning their posts as guardians. The seduction of a taboo is never easily spurned. So, Black Flame Monks came from the Fire Monks, who were originally Flame Guardians, or whatever they're called. Actually, have you even gone that to the garrison? I'm blind. Oh. Yeah, I just don't have the map fragments. So I guess I still have not gone to the Guardian Garrison to talk about them a bit more. But yeah, they were like originally, in my opinion, the dudes that would go on to become like the minor Erdtree Guardians and the Flame Guardians were like the same branch. And then over time, those minor Erdtree Guardians, which are Flame Guardians essentially, started to worship the fire of the giants because it like eats away at the hearts. They became enchanted by it. And then the Black Flame Monks were traitors to even that flame because they were scared like by Amon's description, which I guess we could go see Amon, but we don't really need those spirit ashes and it's kind of out of the way. So yeah, they abandoned their posts as guardians. So, Godskin Apostle Hood. Hood made by sewing together patches of smooth skin. Worn by the Godskin Apostles. The Apostles, once said to serve death and death, are wielders of the god-slaying Black Flame. But after their defeat by Malekith, the Black Blade, the source of their power was sealed away. So, there's a lot to talk about with them. Let's go ahead and put this one on. I've kind of wondered whether or not the Godskins were skinning like the lampreys, but that's just kind of like a random thought. I don't really like fully buy into it. Because there's like nothing in the DLC which would really tie the room together as far as like lore interpretations go. Because we don't really find too many factions that look like this. They almost have like golden eyes with like black sclera on the things. In the 1.0 version of the game, they were described as tanned demigod skin. So what demigods got by the Godskins, it's all questionable and has since been retconned. And then, of course, we've got all of that info about, you know, the Golem Queen in the DLC to work with as well. Actually, there was something... Damn it, what armor piece in the DLC reminded me of this, actually, unironically? I don't remember if it was Ymir's, or was it like Yolan's, Anna's. But the bottom portion of one of their robes kind of reminded me of what was on like the bottom portion of this. But I haven't taken the time to do a direct comparison yet. Maybe somebody in chat has looked themselves. Oh, it has a special DLC modifier to nerf it. Interesting. Jay Conluke, welcome on into the stream. You think the Golem Queen has to be the goddess of the Horn Scent? I'm not sure. There's just so much timeline ambiguity that I think with the story trailer, you could definitely arrive at that conclusion if you think the thing America's pulling the gold out of is the Golem Queen's corpse or something like that. But, man, there's just so much that we just don't know. Because, like, that was my first impression of that story trailer, that she must have been like looting the Glowmide Queen's corpse, but it didn't look like she's pulling out the Rune of Death from the Elden Ring specifically. It almost seems like that should be like the beginning of her version of the Elden Ring, but just like nothing visually matches up the way I would have expected if that were to be the case, you know? Jonah asks, the Godskin hunt isn't a thing anymore canonically? Oh no, it still is a thing canonically. The Noble set still talks about the Godskin hunts, I think, or one of their incantations do. Oh yeah, and then, I didn't even read this 22 and 20? I still don't have enough even with my stupid ass things. Okay. So I still can't equip the Gek sword. Sacred sword of the Glowmide Queen, who controlled the Godskin Apostles before her defeat at the hands of Malekith. The black flames wielded by the Apostles are channeled from this sword. Unique skill of the Queen's black flame. Set the blade ablaze with the God-slaying black flame before delivering a sweeping slash. Additional inputs, blah blah blah. The black flames will continue to wear down HP for a while. So, it's questionable whether or not the Godslayer's greatsword is like the equivalent of a sacred relic blade, and whether or not like the Elden Beast transformed a prior god, which could have been the Glowmide Queen, into this sword specifically, which I think is a really cool idea. I have also wondered whether or not that could potentially be where the Fingerslayer blade comes from, but again, going back to that story trailer, if that were to be the case, you would almost expect there to be something different going on with the way that Marika pulls the gold out. Maybe you can make the argument that's her like retrieving the Elden Beast, and then after that the Elden Beast could have gone to transform the Glowmide Queen into the Godslayer's greatsword, or whatever your headcanon is. There's just nothing concrete one way or the other, and it just feels like there's so many loose ends that you could take one direction, but there's, I don't know, just too many loose ends to like really tie anything together. It sucks. Tony thinks it could have been a previous goddess, but maybe not the Glowmide Queen. And then, like, all that stuff with the Glowmide Queen is that she's called an Empyrean in one spot, which, you know, everything with the Empyreans is super arguable, whether or not an Empyrean can be a god, or if, like, the Empyrean is only a title that somebody has if they're not a god. Could the Glowmide Queen have been a god that was formerly an Empyrean, or was she never a god because she was only an Empyrean? All those kind of questions abound. Kyle's starting to really think that Marika's the Glowmide Queen and use it as an alias to start the Knox and usurp the horn scent. It just sucks because it feels like anything and everything is kind of plausible at this point, and also like implausible at the same time. When Sayfrog dies, they want to be made into a sword. You could potentially, unironically, kind of have that happen if you have your ashes like smelted into a weapon. Counting Sheep thinks the Godslayer Greatsword looks forged and man-made versus the Sacred Relic Sword, and the Fingerslayer Blade looks more organic. See, I don't think this looks particularly synthetic at all. Like, it reminds me of almost like a tree branch. And speaking of which, like, in like questioning everything, I have wondered whether or not like Marika and the Miko, or like the shamans of the shaman village, or shaman village, are tree people, because of like the way that they have like branches growing off their arms, kind of, or like twigs, I guess you could call them. Like, this feels like it could be 50-50. Obviously, like, the hilt is more like manufactured, but this stuff above it doesn't make like a ton of sense for like a weapon to work this way, because it seems more ornamental and as though it should break. But maybe that's just because it has like holy magic, which will keep it in place, like the what's called the Erdtree branch thing. Was I using this? Okay. Mercy, nice to see you again. Welcome on in. Floorgeborge, nice to see you. The Godslayer sigil looks like Metter's face. Oops, I walked too far. I meant to try and level up. So Philanthropist says there's a lot of stuff that's not answered in the descriptions. True story. Guess I'm just gonna level up Faith to 20. I'm level 80 now. Okay. Isn't the design for the Godslayer Greatsword nearly one-to-one with the Spirit and Cant symbol? A little bit. Yeah, that's like a good thing to point out as well. Let's do it this way. Like, I wondered if it was supposed to be evocative of life and be kind of one way of showing what might be like a kind of dual nature of the Glowmide Queen. Because if she's like related to the God-slaying Black Flame and or Destined Death, then her sword kind of having like this double helix lifelike symbolism built into it could be evocative of that kind of duality that's just not explicitly called out. Which I think is kind of also reminiscent of like what's going on with America in many ways. Because like she's a mother, but she's like wanting the death of a god and everything. You need to unbind Destined Death to set a new order. So there's kind of really weird dualisms at play throughout like most of the characters in the game. Kyle dislikes everything about meta. It breaks the brain. Thoughts on people saying Mesmer's justified? I don't think he's necessarily justified, but I mean, he's probably just following orders, maybe a little bit too zealously.
Champions, welcome. The stars have aligned. The festival is nigh. General Radahn, mightiest demigod of the Shattering, awaits you. Champions, prepare for battle. Defeat the general, claim glory, and grab that great rune. A celebration of war. The Radahn Festival!
Are you good and prepared, young chum? The festival begins.
Not yet.
See. When you are ready, come to me again.
Let's go talk to all of our compatriots for the moment. So it's really interesting to me that we have Okina here. And for a while I was like, wait, why is Okina saying sort of like, isn't that only Vare? And then I actually reread the one description that says like Vare tamed the accursed blood. It said that he was the only one of the war surgeons who did it. So I guess like there could be the potential for Okina to have like still mastered it, I guess, and been like somewhat sane. So I've kind of like reconciled that idea for me. So we've got Okina plus Great Horned Tragoth. Actually, I wonder what happens. I don't remember if I ever tested if you kill him with Patches' quest line in Volcano Manor, if his ghost still lingers here. Then we've got Lionel. And I guess that could tie into the Fia quest too. Right.
Ah, you came. How delightful. Indeed, I thought I might find you here. By the by, do you know for whom this festival is being held? Well, it is none other than General Radahn himself. To think, I could face a great champion of the Shattering, a demigod in the flesh. Oh, gosh. In truth, I quiver at the thought. Such is his frightful repute. But the fear simply assures me the ordeal is worth undertaking. Be sure to get a good vantage, my friend. I, Iron Fist Alexander, do hereby vow to unflinchingly brave this ordeal. Be sure to get a good vantage, my friend. I, Iron Fist Alexander, do hereby vow to unflinchingly brave this ordeal.
It's kind of funny coming back to the base game and seeing like Alexander and the other jar folk, knowing the context of what we do now and the DLC with like the Miko being stuffed into jars with the remains of the condemned criminals of the Hornsent and whatnot. I don't remember what item says it specifically, but there's one of the jar ones, like the talisman, which says like perhaps they're made to be better than like their innards or something like that, which kind of always like had me scratching my head but not really thinking too much about it beforehand. But now I'm like, okay, I can kind of see where they're going with that now. So
be sure to get a good vantage, my friend. I, Iron Fist Alexander, do hereby vow to unflinchingly brave this ordeal.
And so one thing to note about Alexander and the other ones is this dude supposedly has what I would consider to be an Erdtree sigil on top of his jar lid, whereas when you go into the DLC, you have something else which you can see in Elphael, like the crest on the elevators there, which I should thank Teen Sith for pointing that out to me on the Discord. And I was going to say something else, but I can't remember. Oh yeah, Counting Sheep, thanks for clarifying that these ghosts do disappear if you kill their associated NPCs in their quests. So now we've got the Finger Maiden Theralina puppet, which is being puppeted by Celavis, most likely. She doesn't say a word, she just bows. Now we get our polite bow gesture. Now we get our good old boy Blade. I think he's like one of the NPCs where it doesn't really work to do this because he's too tall.
Ah,
Yeah.
there you are. Took your sweet time. The players are all made up. I'm waiting for the curtain. Let's give them a show to remember, eh? Just don't you go dying on me. For Rani's sake, too. Once more into the fray together, eh? This might even be fun.
Sorry if you guys get hit with an ad right now. I will listen to more Blythe for a second.
Once more into the fray together, eh? This might even be fun.
Alright, so that's that with the NPCs for the most part. What am I doing? Right. So, Forgeborge asked, have I considered whether or not the Fell God was the ruling force prior to America? It seems to be the only so-called inner god that we know of outside of America and Mikola that had to be fought. I've considered most things that I think can be considered at this point. Like, I've wondered whether or not the Mother of Truth could have been the so-called inner god to the Order before America's time. I've definitely wondered about the Fell God. One thing which would kind of make me object to the idea of the Fell God being the prior Order's inner god would be that if America and Godfrey had control of the Elden Ring at the so-called birth of the Erdtree during that time, then when exactly would the Fell God have been like banished from the so-called Inner Order, if you want to call it that? So I don't think that would work super well, but we just like there's enough ambiguity in the timeline where this isn't necessarily a deal breaker by any means, because we don't actually know when the Erdtree truly came into being and when the Order was established, or how exactly America got the Elden Ring despite like the story trailer. So man, can't believe we just had like so much information that elaborated on nothing in like the base game in the DLC. Yeah, I said Blade ironically. It was Wesley Snipes all along. Indeed. I mean, if y'all get upset at me calling him Blade, I could always call it the Skidoo Tree.
Are you good and prepared, young chum? The festival begins.
Ready as I'll ever be.
Before we begin, allow me to paint you the full picture. General Radahn is cursed ever to wander. Eaten from the inside by Melania's scarlet rot, his wits are long gone. Now he gathers the corpses of former friends and foes alike, gorging on them like a dog. Howling at the sky. But now, we must make merry.
O gathering of champions, the revels begin. The celebration of war. The Radahn Festival!
Heartening cry. Okay, so our Crusader will come on in, and then Enter Y asks, it's called the Shadow Keep, why not call it the Shadow Tree? Because Miyazaki. Actually, this one's more on Frog Nation for going with Skadu Tree instead of like Shadow Tree or like Shade Tree. I don't know really why they chose that. Like, I felt like it would be obvious from a country mile away that people would mispronounce Shadow Tree as like Skadu Tree, which I don't think I've been into one random stream where they've actually said it correctly, which I don't blame anybody, but yeah, I digress. Alright, here we go.
You will find the field of battle past the church ahead, upon the shore under the fort. General Radahn is there, even now, divested of his wits, devouring corpses, and howling at the sky. You will find the field of battle past the church ahead, upon the shore under the... General Radahn is there, even now, divested of his wits, devouring corpses, and howling at the sky.
Alright, so cool stuff there. Now, I'll admit, when I first played the game, I was like, oh man, if this is Radahn after he's been rotted, I wonder what Radahn in his prime would have looked like. Well, it was at that moment the finger on the monkey's paw curled.
Be sure to get a good vantage, my friend. I, Iron Fist Alexander, do hereby vow to unflinchingly brave this ordeal.
Do you think Do you think they knew what Millennia whispered to Radahn, or did they make that up for the DLC? I feel like it had to have been made up to a certain extent. Well, maybe not, because like that part could have still worked, despite what we knew of Mikola with the cut content. But it feels like Mikola was just kind of their scapegoat with which they could have like offloaded all of the things that they couldn't fit into the base game, into the DLC, which just, there's a lot of like the DLC story which doesn't set right with me with like Mikola, because as I complained about this in my like DLC lore impression video, like Mikola had too much stuff going on for what he ended up like doing. Like there's no elaboration on his plans with the Eclipse, there's no elaboration on his plans with the Halig Tree, there's no elaboration on his plans with Unalloyed Gold, there's no elaboration on his plans with Millennia and Radahn. Well, I guess there's some, but not really, you know. There's like the memory, which doesn't really say anything. And like one of the criticisms that I had about like characters like with R'Ellana and all the others is that, to me, it felt like you could have drastically changed out all of those details and nobody would be the wiser. There's just like not a lot of foreshadowing to make it fit super well with what we know in the base game, to me, I guess. Gabriel, nice to see you. What did we know about Mikola's cut content? So he had kind of more of an active role with Millennia. There's this whole thing with like abundance and decay, which they walked away from. And he had like a twin blade that's, what's it called? Damn it, I can't remember the name for it. The super cool twin blade that you can get in the elevator from Anir Elim to Belurot. Euphoria, thank you guys. Yeah. That used to be the twin blade of abundance and decay, and he kind of had an ending of abundance that was kind of tied to the base game, but that got cut for whatever reason. And so, like, his story was going a completely different direction than where it ended up, essentially. Now, I'm not too upset with like Radahn being the final boss, like narratively. And I don't really mind that Godwyn didn't make an appearance. Like, that made the most sense to me, because in my mind of minds, Godwyn had always gotten got by destined death and therefore couldn't come back because his soul was gone. But despite me saying I didn't mind the Radahn stuff too much, I still don't think it hit. Like, they could have set it up much better than they actually did. And like, one of the biggest complaints that I'd have is just like the DLC stands off too much from the main game, whereas I feel like both could have been improved if they'd been like integrated more together. Now, I don't necessarily mean that you like need to travel to and fro like all the time, but like the fact that we can't talk to Melina in the Shadowlands, the fact that Mikola says that we're the Lord of the Erdtree if he grabs us, even if you like haven't even killed the fire giant at that point, like there should have just been like some more consideration for stuff like that, I feel, to make it feel a bit more organic to me than it ended up being.
Once more into the fray together.
Alright, so now we can go fight Radahn. Again, Nectarine says that there was Trina cut content as well. Yeah, a little bit with like some of the NPCs and stuff like that. That didn't bother me too much with like, what they did with Trina. But I am a little bit disappointed that we didn't get more with like the nomadic merchants and the thematics of what would have been like related to Trina's quests in the base game. The cut stuff, at least. Quaylog's look of confusion when she first saw me feel was everyone's reaction. I have not looked at pretty much anybody's content for the DLC yet. I've just been like focusing really hard on my stuff. Pretty much the only thing that I've seen is I've like hopped into a couple of Lance McDonald's streams and a tiny bits of Cosmos streams here and there. Because Lance was like me and was actually doing a no skidoo run, which is it's a choice. Yeah, so this is my strat for dealing with the Radahn hail of arrows. I just use the debris, then I go around the hill, I come up to crest the top, where he can't really shoot me, and then that just makes it kind of easy mode to get into melee range. Let me know how the sound balance is for you guys when I'm not punching the mic, because I tried to adjust it accordingly. Oops. But it's a little bit difficult knowing how that actually comes into effect. Oh, I didn't take nearly as much damage as I thought I did. I thought I lost like a third of my health that one attack. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and summon a bunch of things, because why not? I forgot. So they finally patched the game to be playable, where you don't have to press multiple confirmations for the summons. Actually, I don't think Radahn's worked that way. I think it was one button press and you're fine. Oh, that rotted him already? My man's is weak to the rot. Okay. Oh, that was not a good roll. And then once you get into phase 2, you can summon Jaren. Oh baby, I'm stuck on him. Oh, I finally got a visceral off. Bro, that's kind of wild because my first time playing through the game, I probably reset either 40 or 50 times. What am I doing? 40 or 50 times to try to get footage of actually visceraling him normally. But just like the actual window to get it off was so short. I don't even need to fight him. He's rotting to death. But that's not fun. Oh, that's one way to do it. Radahn's Great Rune. Remembrance of the Star Scourge. I'm only like level 80, which is pretty normal for this. Alright. Alright, so one cutscene out of the way. A red mark was made on the map. See, this is kind of wonky to me. I didn't really mind not having a mark on the map, but apparently it was necessary to the game devs to mark where the meteor went, rather than like having players use their eyes. So we're actually going to be heading to Nokron next, so that way I could get the Black Whet Blade, as well as the Damn Mimic Tier. So I'm not about to like sweat on the DLC like I did in my private playthrough. So yeah, talking about Lance's run, he was doing no blessings as well. He kind of did the same thing that I did, in that once we both got to Radahn, we're like, there's just no way. I'm not going to spend that much time trying to figure this fight out. So he actually finally used his blessings for that fight as well. Although he was more hardcore about his playthrough, about like not summoning at all. Whereas like I would summon if there's a multiple enemy fight, or if I'm just like not really having fun. Alright. And then Adlai Black, welcome on in, and Future Warrior Hero 123. It's going pretty well. How about you?
Ah, hello there. It was a battle marvelously fought. You are well and truly a champion, friend. I, on the other hand, am nothing but a crock. One hit was all it took to crack me, and for my insides to come spilling out. After that, I hid like a coward, and as such, I can hardly stand to face one such as you. But don't you think I've given up just yet. As luck would have it, there's a veritable mountain of warriors' bodies right here. If I can just squeeze this bunch down inside me, I'll be a mighty warrior again in no time. And you know, the bodies found here are exceedingly fine. Who could expect any less from the very warriors who fought in the Shattering? The greatest of all wars. Just you wait and see, friend. I'll grow even stronger. Just you wait when next we meet. The bodies found here are exceedingly fine. Who could expect any less from the very warriors who fought in the Shattering? The greatest of all wars. Just you wait and see, friend. I'll grow even stronger. Just you wait when next we meet.
Alright, so Roger Swabknuckle, welcome on in. Missed you earlier. So, y'all wish that we had Egon to be summoned in every boss battle. That'd be pretty epic if he had like unique lines for everyone too. I know like the voice actor had like an interview where he was talking about the process and how he just couldn't believe like he's essentially become meme status already from like the Miyazaki stuff. If you guys haven't seen that interview, I highly recommend checking it out. I'm terrible with names, so I can't remember what it's actually titled, but anyway. Oh, yeah, talking about like the people's reactions to Radahn. Who was it that said it? Was it Scowlezy with the Quelaag thing? If you have a clip of that, could you like link that to me in the Discord later? Because I'd be kind of funny or curious to see how funny that was with Quelaag's reaction to it. Because I wonder if she heard anything with like Ansbach's quest. Because at the very least, like I did Ansbach's quest line and like knew about the Radahn stuff, so it didn't come out of left field. But I can only imagine how random that must have felt for people who didn't complete that section of the game. Forge is holding out hope that Gurm would react to some Elden Ring lore videos, gives them an excuse to not write Winds of Winter. That would be wild indeed. Like I have like kind of wanted to be like, yo, George, what's up? Just send that to him like in an email, be like, yo, answer some questions if you would please. But I don't know. How wild would it be if like I was like, hey George, Mr. Martin, my guy, when was Destined Death removed? And then he'd be like, when the Elden Ring was shattered. how freaking funny would that be though? Just like throw all of our theories down the drain and like confirm TAs. That'd be wild.
Ah, good. I was waiting for you. Oh, what a sick way to fight, eh? The glory of the clash is shared by Radahn and you. And did you see that afterwards? A falling star right before our eyes. I can't fathom how Radahn was holding back something of that scale. He was a living legend if ever I saw one. And the path has now been cleared. To Nokron, where Ranni's fate will be decided. Let's meet where the falling star bit the earth. We'll take up our swords once more for Mistress Ranni. Let's meet where the falling star bit the earth, and we'll go into battle again. Side by side. My only purpose is to fight for Ranni's fate, sword and fang. The curtain's rising. On the final act. Let's meet where the falling star bit the earth, and we'll go into battle again. Side by side. My only purpose is to fight for Ranni's fate, sword and fang. The curtain's rising. On the final act.
I believe we've already beaten Darrowil, so we should have the note that's saying like a traitor's been taken care of. So I'll try to remember to look for that when I go towards Nokron. And then Scowlezy said George R. R. Martin asked Stephen King how the hell he writes so fast. And honestly, you think King replaced his addictions with being addicted to writing novels? I would disagree with that because Stephen King has just like always belted out novel after novel after novel. Like he's just always written like he's on cocaine, especially when he was on cocaine. So yeah, I don't know, man, because like Stephen King's body of work is like ubiquitous. Like it's really easy to overlook like how much of a cultural presence my man has had, but it's kind of ridiculous. Like Cujo, Carrie, Tommyknockers, Langoliers, The Shining, The Stand, The Dome, Running Man with frickin' Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was actually a Stephen King work. The Body, aka Stand By Me, the movie. I'm probably forgetting a bunch, to be honest. But yeah, it's just I don't blame George for asking him that. Honestly, I think the trick with Stephen King is he probably doesn't give a damn about like his novels as much as he cares more about like crafting stories. But it is just kind of like remarkably impressive just like how many stories he's written which work super well. But with that being said, there's also a bit of a survivor bias there where like a lot of people don't necessarily remember his like less famous works. I forgot Pet Sematary, that's another one. Shawshank Redemption, Misery, Dark Tower, exactly. Yeah, you guys are going off. Children of the Corn, Salem's Lot, exactly. King doesn't remember making Cujo. Green Mile. Yeah, it's just absolutely ridiculous. All right. Yeah, my mom was a huge Stephen King fan, so. Oh, and then yeah, I'll just leave it there. He's written so much more. Okay. So Radahn's Great Rune doesn't really say anything. It's devoid of benediction. I really don't want to talk about that stuff right now. So Remembrance of the Star Scourge. Remembrance of Star Scourge, Radahn, hewn into the Erdtree. Blah blah blah. The Red Lion General wielded gravitational powers which he learned in Celia during his younger days. Also, he would never have to abandon his beloved but scrawny steed. So I guess this kind of makes it canon that he would have met his Alabaster Lord in Celia, or like studied there. And I guess Gaius would have been there as well. Which, Gaius is older than Radahn. Mesmer is older than Radahn. Gaius and Mesmer are cursed, I guess. But anyway, it's not too important. So part of the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it shows that the Shadow Tree and the Land of Shadow wasn't disconnected from the Lands Between probably until after all this time. When exactly that happened, we don't know. I'm kind of the mind that the separation would have happened maybe around Radagon's ascension to Elden Lord, because we have too many Carians in the Shadowlands that are affiliated with Marika's forces for it to have just been a coincidence. So, at the very least, after the Leonian Wars. Save Frog says, isn't Gaius and Albinoric not cursed? That's a good question. At the very least, one item does say that they're both cursed. I think it's Gaius's remembrance. I think. This isn't after Dark Souls 3, then why is the lands surrounded by a deep sea? It's because, everything is converging. So the other lands, they're there elsewhere. Enter Y asks, you don't think it makes sense? Did America not only separate the Shadowlands, but hit everyone in the Lands Between with a Men in Black mind eraser? Everybody kind of forgot about Mesmer. Yeah. It's a kind of battle that was not extolled the glories of because it was graceless. So as we came into Radahn's arena, there were some corpses with some treasure. I think these are just like runes. Lower Radahn spear. Times 6. Times 4, so we can get 10 total. So yeah, when we come into the Radahn fight, it'll be night. But when he gets into his second phase, I think, no, when you start it, it transitions into like the very dead of night. And there's like a bunch of weird stuff going on with the Radahn festival in that Jaren says like the stars have aligned. And if Radahn conquered the stars, then how can they like move to align if EG says like he's arrested their movements and whatnot? So he must not have arrested the movement of all the stars in the night sky if they can still align. So maybe just some heroic boasting on everyone's behalf. And then we got the super cool like war hero catacomb over there, but I'm not too worried about that for now. So let's go ahead towards Kenneth Heights spots and then try to see if we can level up. Interesting. Kyle thinks the genocide happens after Godwin died. You know what? Could the crusade have happened after the Night of Black Knives? I need to think about that. Let's use some runes. Don't need this many? Okay. So now I just need to level Dex, essentially. Alright. Kyle thinks America built the Divine Towers. No golems in the Shadowlands. Oh no, there's definitely golems in the Shadowlands. There's at least 2 in Rao's base, and then there's one in the Rao ruins who will shoot at you when you get to like the 2nd level, and when you go across the bridge towards the 2nd Deathblight Divine Lion Dancer Beast. I wonder if arresting the stars also halted the outer gods that are still in space. I've wondered that much as well, but then I don't know how well that would work with things like Millennia and her outer god of rot. I always forget where his note actually is. Oh yeah, and somebody had asked in chat way earlier, but I think I was watching the cutscene, so I couldn't address it. Oh, here it is. There is a trader taken care of. Onwards to Nokron then. Go on, I'll catch up. See, this note doesn't appear here until after you've killed Darrowell, but before doing that, actually, let's go check out the Evergal. So somebody was asking or made a comment that it doesn't make sense for the Shadowlands to have been sealed by Messmer. I don't think that's true, because when you look at the story trailer, which I don't even really know how canon it is, to be honest at this point, when he's burning when he's burning Belurot, Anir Lim is already sealed in shadow. So maybe he could have sealed it in shadow and then burned everything, but then it's why did he leave Anir Lim untouched? Which I guess is still a legitimate question, regardless of how you look at it.
Oh, it's you. It's me, Blythe. Old E.G. trapped me here. Told me I'd bring naught but bale to Lady Rani. But there's no chance that could happen. I'm part of a being. A very shadow. I thought old E.G. knew as much. Honestly, I don't know what's going on anymore.
So we can open the Evergaol or not. We're going to say no.
I don't understand. Why would E.G. do this? I could never intend harm to Lady Rani. What's he thinking?
So we could talk to E.G. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that now, because I'll forget to do it later. It's easy to screw up his quest. Sayfrog watched a video today that argued the Rao civilization created all the golems. That was kind of always my assumption, that the Blackstone civilization would have been responsible for the golems. So if we say that the Rao folk are the creators of that civilization, then I don't really have any major disagreements with that. Just more of a vibe check than a text thing, though.
You finally come. Blythe told me everything. You've defeated General Radahn, unlocking the stars. The general was blighted by scarlet rot and driven to madness. But not long ago, he was hailed as the mightiest demigod of them all. There is no parallel to your achievement, nor to Lady Rani's acute judgment of character. Thanks to you, Lady Rani's fate once again stirs, and the path to Nokron has opened. Descend underground, where the fallen star struck Limgrave, and make it yours. The precious treasure of Nokron. I presume you've spoken with Blythe? Very well. There is something you should know. The Two Fingers gave Blythe to Lady Rani as a faithful follower. Her very shadow, incapable of treachery. But if Lady Rani, as an Empyrean, resists being an instrument of the Two Fingers, the shadow will go mad, transforming from a follower into a horrid curse. but such is his destiny. In such matters, Blythe's own thoughts hold no weight. It pains me so. But he must be neutralized. For Lady Rani's sake.
Right, so now we get to the whole red herring of trying to talk about Empyreans and their shadows and why Rani has Blythe, but Mikola and Melania have nothing. And so, because the game says nothing, perhaps we'll say nothing as well. But more seriously, Thorgeborg was saying maybe Mesmer couldn't get to Nearlim, with the Sealing Tree almost certainly being the work of Marika, especially with how similar the Shadow Tree second chunk and the Sealing Tree look alike. So the thing about that is, because we get the kindling from Mesmer to burn the Sealing Tree, it does raise the question whether or not Mesmer was unable to do it because it would have taken part of himself to do so, or maybe Anir Elim was sealed when Mesmer was born. Is that something that Marika could have done? I guess would be one of the relevant questions to ask ourselves in relation to that. I don't know. Emerald Jack 4200, welcome on in. Kyle assumed Mesmer sealed it instead of killing them, which doesn't make a lot of sense considering he killed pretty much everyone else seemingly without remorse. Yeah. It could have, it seemed like, yeah, there's just too many unknowns.
Now the festival is over, and General Radahn is defeated. Jaren's duties are finally fulfilled. Though we served different masters, I could see he was truly adept in his role. Now the time has come to remind him of an old promise made. With the stars of fate set into motion, a certain sorceress is dispossessed of her immortality. Finally, we can be rid of a long-standing Carian weed.
Right, so that's a reference to Selen. So the Carian Filigreed quest, we talked about this on the stream before, but this is like one of the very few things which foreshadowed R'hllana. So I didn't really mind R'hllana as a character, except for her stupid ass name, which is like, it's like one of the laziest names I've ever seen for like a game like this, even by Elden Ring GRRM standards. Anyway, an honor said to have once been awarded to Carian knights who were served as direct retainers to the kingdom's princesses. Now there's only one princess, Rani, daughter R'hllana. And then there's like the Carian Spinning Blade Ashavor, which also mentions multiple princesses, but we never saw them. But with R'hllana being the, I think technically the older sister of R'hllana. I'm not sure what name I said first, so let me try to re-say this hopefully correctly. So I believe, I need to double check the Japanese, but I'm pretty confident it said R'hllana is technically R'hllana's, hold on, I've got an idea. R'hllana Twin Moon, damn it, no. R'hllana Twin Moon Lady is R'hllana Single Moon Lady's older sister. I think. I need to double check though. Pretty confident. So yeah, that's kind of foreshadows that. We're not really going to do too much else in the base game. Oh, that's not true. Wait, we already fought our guy. Okay, yeah, no, so we're going to go this way. Because we just did the Nokron stuff. I think Celavis is dead now, which means I screwed up the puppet thing. So I'm not going to get the Dung Eater puppet, which is whatever. I'm Melania, the Blythe of Mikola, indeed. You think she was named R'hllana to directly link her to R'hllana? It's too damn much. Our names are too damn much. So our boy Celavis should be dead. No, he's still alive? What's the trigger for this? Oh, no, it's after you get the Finger Slayer blade. Duh.
I've no time for idle chit-chat. The only thing I will hear from you is a report of your task's completion. Are we? And I have enough on.
Okay, so I did get the potion, which I can give to Dung Eater. So Pedialyte's still alive. I don't need to worry about that. Alright, so let's go back to Blythe. We'll free him, even though it doesn't really matter. Alright, Forge Borge, thanks. You have a good night. Get the magical scorpion ring now if I want it. I don't remember how to get it. Is it in the tower? Because that's something I only ever worried about on my first playthrough, and I got it naturally.
I don't understand. Why would E.G. do this? I could never intend harm to Lady Rani. What was he thinking?
My thanks, friend. I'm going to see Mistress Rani now. I don't know what came over old E.G., but even if the odds are slim, I need to check the Mistress is safe. Now, Rani can finally set in motion the fight against her fate she's dreamed of for so long. I'm going to see Mistress Rani now. I don't know what came over old E.G., but even if the odds are slim, I need to check the Mistress is safe.
I don't think that changes anything with the EG questline at this point. I'm just going to double check and then go to Nokron. And I guess I'll leave the Finger Slayer blade down there and just like loot things.
Well, as walk.
Right, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Adlai Black says, you think Millennia recognized Mikola as a better fit for God and gave him no competition? So it might be because like Mikola is technically her older brother. She might just be following his wishes, but you might be right. I've also wondered whether or not Mikola was controlling Millennia through her sleep and she was like acting as his blade. So I know like you guys are joking about like whether or not Millennia as an Empyrean was the shadow of another Empyrean. But wait, this is the wrong way. I need to go the other way. I don't think she acts as a shadow in the sense that like Blythe does, but it is curious that she takes on the epithet Blade of Mikola of her seemingly own free will. And with Mikola taking away others' free will, who's to say that she's the exception? I guess she could just be like a strong enough Empyrean, but I don't know. Golden Rune tier 5. Pretty sure nothing down here is super important except for the torch. I guess there's also some like Celestial Dew, but that's further on. Time to screw up this jump. Alright. Silver tier husks. Ghost Flame Torch. Alright. I think this dude's just HP. Wow, I whiffed. I don't remember there being 3. Okay. And a rune arc. Bolts. Oh, actually, I wanted those. Actually, it kind of doesn't really matter because I don't ever use finite items like that. Yeah, so that it does really baffle me that the DLC doesn't let you buy more items like bird bolts or scarlet Ionian butterflies. Larval tears. So you better enjoy farming basilisks in the Lake of Rot if you want to get more rot pots, I guess. Did Miquella charm Millennium, though? We don't really know. I'm just kind of like spitballing there. I don't necessarily think he would have needed to. I think she probably would have followed him of her own free will, but I do know like a lot of people enjoy playing up the whole Miquella is evil idea. And I think there's enough wiggle room where one could try to make that argument work. Her Japanese deathlines makes her sound childish when she apologizes to Miquella. Is that true? I don't necessarily remember her sounding childish, but she definitely calls him her older brother. Which isn't uncommon, I mean, like, even with, like, twins. It's just kind of how you talk to your big bro. I'm not gonna worry about fighting these dudes. Don't need to fight that guy, after all. So I do kind of like the 1.0 version of Nokron a bit more because you actually had like the Knox maidens walking around over here rather than the Band of the Fallen Hawks. Nokron, Eternal City. Now, let me do this for a second. Alright. Ghost Flame Torch. Metal torch that burns with cold ghost flame. Tool of the fallen hawks who prowl the underground rivers. When the band's last embers were used up in their long search, they began to burn the bones of their fellows, acquiring the cold ghost flame, but sealing their fate as dwellers of the underground for all eternity. Now, this is one of the weirder descriptions in the game, and this isn't necessarily a problem of the localization, because the Japanese really isn't that different from this at all. So burning death leads into getting ghost flame, and there's like a bunch of weird stuff that goes along with that, and like whether or not the remains were tainted flesh that they were burning or like people that were like cursed. So yeah, I don't really know what to make of the ghost flame torch specifically, other than that we're told that it came from like burning the bones of their fellows. So anyway, moving on. Silver Tear Husk. A hardened husk shed by a formless life form known as the Silver Tear, found in and around the Eternal City. The Silver Tear makes mockery of life, reborn again and again in temptation. Perhaps one day it will be reborn a lord. So this is like one of the most fascinating items to me in the game, and I was actually really surprised that we had perhaps a little bit of elaboration on what's going on with these in the forms of the larval tears, because you get a unique type of larval tear in the DLC, which talks about how it's not necessarily like living or dead. So I think the silver tears are probably like some kind of recycled form of the dead if they're related to like larval tears. And I think that idea also kind of bears a bit more weight in that the Silver Tear Husk icon is also reminiscent of the putrescent ooze icon, whatever it's called. You guys know what I'm talking about. And then Bird Bolts doesn't really say too much. Radahn Spear. Oh yeah, this is actually pretty metal. Great arrows used by the General Radahn during the festival of combat. These are in fact the many spears with which he was stabbed by the Cleanrot Knights, imbued with Radahn's gravitational power. So that's really cool that my man's got stabbed like 20,000 times, which is why he can shoot 20,000 arrows at once from the sky, I guess. Now they're probably more like Smith script for him, where they just kind of like respawn, I guess. Stella says, it doesn't necessarily have to be for the lul's evil, but using a brainwash power for your own desires definitely ain't good. Now, I don't think overriding the autonomy of anybody else is on the path of the up and up, as they say. Hey, Vorb, nice to see you again. No, not massive putrescence. I mean like the actual like items that look like the things. Or maybe that is massive putrescence. I thought that was the spell, though. Can't remember the DLC item names yet. So, Ghost Glovewort Picker's Bell Bearing. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to come down here. Because I did not pick up a lot of these items on the character that I actually went through the DLC with. And it was really annoying trying to level up certain weapons or Spirit Ashes. Because I didn't farm enough. So you get some more Ghostwort Gloveworts. I was trying to backstab, but I failed. But yeah, so this is what it's like to be in an area where you can actually deal damage to enemies. I think this is a larval tier, or this might be a celestial do. No, this should be a larval tier, right? Hey, okay. So, Patches does use the Fallen Hawk Great Shield, which does raise the question where he received it. Did he just loot a Fallen Hawk? Was he part of the Fallen Hawks? It's kind of really up to the individual to decide. Spirit Flame Arrow. Great Shield Soldier Ashes. It's kind of a mouthful to say that. And so as we come over here, we get these kind of Ul-style stele designs, which does question the Knox's relationship with that civilization. So I really don't have too many thoughts on, to be honest. I know some people do think that the Knox and the Erd dynasties. Wait, it's not Erd. No, and what's the other one? I always forget. Anyway, between that and the one map description which says like this cradled pre-Erdtree civilizations, makes it sound like they could be one thing or two. As far as the Japanese goes with that, civilizations isn't necessarily plural. Hey, Knox Orchestra's Crown. So it could just be that either the Ul Dynasty is pre-Erdtree, or they both could be. It's just ambiguous, is what I'm trying to say. Congealed putrescence, yes, thank you. I do really like this spot, Larval tier, as far as like the environmental storytelling goes, because you got the 3 silver tiers on top of it, plus silver tier husk. So yeah, as we start going towards the Ul place, we do get like the Knox Maiden, so that does seem to be a possible connection, but honestly, to me, it feels like the Ul civilization would have like predated the Knox by a significant margin, just based off like the architecture of the two. I guess I haven't really talked about Nokron much. So this kind of pavilion gazebo looking like thing is unique for like the Knox style architecture, whereas in Fair Missoula, those pavilion things have like a different design. So even though they're like pretty visually similar, they are different enough that you can't like tie them one to one. The Knox has like a more like black and green tint going on with their stuff, but they're just like of a more modern, smaller brick as opposed to like the gigantic limestone type stuff that's potentially going on with like the ancient dynasties, if you want to call them that. The old dynasty, yeah. Elden thinks that the Elden John figure could be like a Noah guy. Noah figure, I should say, not Noah guy. That sounds different when I just read it out loud. Like biblical Noah, there we go. And you might link some stuff in the Discord later that talks about Noah and putrescence and alchemy, if you remember correctly. With the boats and the putrescence in the DLC in mind. Okay. What's that thing, a bird bath? So those, I believe... I can't pull out Torrent right now. I'm pretty sure that they all have like oil in them. I guess I should have like looted these items too. And they should have flame. I don't think they all do, but I believe that's what their purpose is. So I don't think these ones you can see, but in other places. Yeah, so they kind of have like oil. Maybe we could just call it putrescence if we're just being cheeky. Obviously I don't actually think that's putrescence, but that's what it's supposed to be. You think they built over the old ruins, but not simply settled there? Architecture is definitely distinct. Yeah, I guess I should have mentioned that as well as a possibility, because I think that's really likely, but it is also curious why they went that far in venerating them as well. So funny thing, I thought you couldn't really Deathblight mix, because you can't Deathblight this dude. I think you can Frenzy him, though. But I was proven wrong as far as, like, being able to Deathblight Mimic Tears in the damn Lion Dancer Deathblight Boogaloo fight. Why weren't you sprinting? There you go. Roll away to regain stamina. Oh, I forgot I have a buff spell. I died. Larval Tears plus the Silver Tear Mask. Which I don't really know why they decided to put that boss here of all places, and the other random mimics here in, what's it called? The Hidden Path to the Erdtree. It's kind of random. I mean, at least this place is like next to like the Knox folk, I suppose. But anyway, I'm not worried about that or that. All right, Great Shield Soldier Ashes. Spirits of Great Shield soldiers who belong to the Fallen Hawks, a band of soldiers that once explored the Eternal City, stout defenders with a steady guard. Though their methods are somewhat crude, they work well as a squadron and will attract the attention of enemies or lob Ghost Flame from the rear guard. Don't really have too much to say about them. They're kind of a later addition as far as like being in this area, not the Ashes. Actually, I don't remember if the Ashes were there in 1.0, but the Hawk dudes were not here. They were still in the Aqueduct, but they weren't nearly as ubiquitous as they are now. which I guess they're not really ubiquitous if I'm being honest. But anyway, Knox Swordstress Crown. Crown worn by swordstresses of the Eternal City. These women are the personal guards of the Night Maidens, and the silk hides their eyes. Long ago, the Knox invoked the ire of the Greater Will and were banished deep underground. Now they live under a false night sky in eternal anticipation of their liege, of the coming of the Age of the Stars, and their Lord of Night. So, oh boy, lots to talk about with this. As far as the Japanese goes, there is a bit of a difference, sort of, in that the Knox aren't necessarily banished deep underground as much as they are destroyed underground. And I don't think this is a bad localization because the sentence is a little bit weird and difficult to translate directly in English because there's kind of like almost a locomotive element to the way that they're described as being destroyed underground, because it's like the Knox were destroyed to the underground almost, but that just kind of doesn't make sense in English. So despite that, we still see Knox in other places, but we don't really see any in like the Nameless City. So maybe that could be one way to talk about that. But anyway, the invoking the ire of the Greater Will is almost certainly tied to what's going on with the Fingerslayer blade, but we don't really know when that should have happened on the timeline because of everything relating to America. And like, did this happen when, like, before the America times? Did this lead into the American times, or we don't really know? I don't know, man. All right, Elden enthusiast, you have a good night, and thanks for hopping in as always. Being forced to fight with your former squad for all eternity sounds like heal. I'm assuming you're saying hell. Yeah, it depends on your squad mates. I've definitely had some good squad mates and some bad ones. Where ride or die would definitely suck. It was for eternity, and also awesome for other ones. Sayfrog says, you don't know if I've noticed this, but the Band of the Hawk has the same rigging and some of the same animations as Hollis all the way from Dark Souls 1. Yeah, so FromSoft really likes to reuse assets where they can, when it's appropriate. As evidenced by, who are the dudes? The Omen Killers essentially being Capra demons. Everybody like notices that. The Erdtree avatars being Asylum demons. Yeah. Word asks, is that kind of like blown to smithereens? Not necessarily. Like, it's just weird. It's kind of hard to describe it with the Knox in there being banished deep underground. So anyway, like, if the Knox were destroyed to the underground, that kind of makes sense. Or if they were like underground when they were destroyed is another possibility, which is also like a head scratcher. But anyway, setting all that stuff aside, the Lord of the Night seems like they should align with Ranni, but then we have the potential scions of the Eternal Cities with the Black Knife Assassins trying to attack Ranni's followers after we, like, conduct the rest of the plan. So, don't really know what to say about, like, any of this stuff. I already hear the dude. Somber Smithing Stone, tier 5. It's kind of funny seeing the jellyfish shield on that ghost's back right there. So as we come over here, we get a random nascent butterfly. The Mikola connection. And for whatever reason, we've got a Red Wolf of Radagon coming into this next area. If it weren't such a pain in the ass to light all the obelisks, I would almost consider fighting the Regal Ancestor Spirit. And maybe I'll do that like towards the end of the playthrough. when it's a little bit more relevant to talking about like horn scent and whatnot. But it's like something that I've only ever done on like my first playthrough of the game. I might have like streamed it as well. I think I did do that like, for my first Elden Ring playthrough. But then I'm like, it's just annoying. Knight's Sacred Ground. I should have probably tried to level up after that. Rejuvenating boluses? Those are for Deathblight, aren't they? It's kind of weird that that's there. The guys are transforming because they're angry. Celestial Dew. I thought that was it. And I think there's another Celestial Dew around the other corner, like over there. So this jump has killed me more than any of the other ones in the game, I think. Coming off of this round dome. Did he just walk off? There we go. There it's. I think the Omen Killers are knowingly cosplaying as... Oh, you said horn scent. I thought you were saying like the omens. I feel like they have to know because we do have an Omen Killer or two. I don't remember how many there are total in Fort Reprimand. But I guess that doesn't necessarily mean the Omen Killers and the lands between. No. Huh. I'm just trying to think about the Omen Killers on the timeline and if that can help us be informed about the Crusades. But I guess it doesn't really matter because even if they came in later, it's really not... Let me try to rephrase this to make more sense. I guess it doesn't really matter that there's Omen Killers in Fort Reprimand because they could have come later like the other Tarnished. Oh, so it's the Nascent Butterfly over here, not a Celestial Dew? Okay, I forget which is which. Kind of need to sneeze. It's driving me a little bit crazy. Okay, so here is the so-called bird bath that we're looking at earlier that has like a kind of bluish tinted white ghost flame looking like thing going on. Now we get our Whet Blade. And as we come into Nokron proper, or Night Sacred Ground, we see a lot more of the Knox statues. Not too worried about this guy. Do I even have one of these? Okay, I do. Hey, Global Sequence, how's it going? And Society Man, welcome on in. Why does Mikkel abandon his flesh twice, once in the Mogan Palace and once in the Land of Shadow? You're asking the real hard-hitting questions right there. 'Cause he has ADHD and forgot he already did it once. Time for friendship. I do like the Knox chests. The designs on them, because you got... Actually, let me put my HUD back on for a second. Got almost like the, what are they called? The Godslayer obsidian, almost looking like thing. Like the round sigils. Actually, now that I think about it, with the DLC, they kind of remind me of that new shield that can, like, reflect magic or something like that, which I've not messed with. I don't remember what it's called. I think you get it in the course of Ymir's quest, but I don't fully remember. Alright, now that I've got the mimics here, I could take off all of my magic flasks. It's wild that they made the strongest one, like, the most accessible. Whereas, like, a lot of the really cool Spirit Ashes are kind of boned by having FP requirements, which are really high for a lot of builds. Whereas anybody can just sip some juice and be fine with the Mimic tier. Okay. There it is. Knox Flowing Hammer. And kind of want to talk about this stuff, but one moment here. I'm going to hydrate real quick and read chat. Alright, I am back. So what were we saying? Omen killers got their looks from the evil spirits that torment omens in their sleep. Really makes you think. Omen killers when they find out there's an entire land filled with omens. It's free real estate. Isn't it kind of weird that we only get the omen killers in Fort Reprimand, and aren't they actually fighting Messmer's dudes? Technically? I think that's also the only spot that has, what are they called? The Iron Virgin. Oh, I didn't realize they could run those things over too. Run away! Idiot. Okay. I wasn't originally planning to fight this thing, but then I remembered I've got sweet strats like this. Oh, it doesn't have as much health as I thought either. Larval tier. Oh yeah, so that was some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about with the Knox. So in 1.0, they're described as being part of the Empyrean family. And the Knox puppets were America descendants, which is interesting. So I know for some reason there's a lot of contention as to whether or not the Newman were affiliated with the Knox, but I don't know how else you really round out a lot of the edges here. I thought there was an item over here. It's probably not important, because I don't ever go out of my way to get it. So I'm not going to pick up the Finger Slayer Blade, because that'll kill like Celibus, and I don't want that. I guess there was no item. It must be in the other spot. Oh well. Alright, so why did I come down here? Oh yeah, just for the Mimic Veil. Oh, not Mimic Veil. The Mimic Tier, the Wet Blade, and the Bell Bearing is what I really wanted. In case I want to use like cool Spirit Ashes from the DLC. So next we have like what, Mogwin? Which I'm a little bit underleveled for that. I could kill a bunch of frogs, but I don't want to do that right now. I need to get some of those crystal tiers which actually give me good effects. Which I don't remember which is which. I want the crystal tier which gives me poise, and the one which breaks enemy poise. Newman are ants? That was one of the pet theories that I floated a while back. We know Mikola had dozens of unfinished projects. Why not let the Knox be another one of them? His butterflies are everywhere, and maybe he killed his 2 fingers with a blade. That would make him the Glomite Green. And you don't like that? Fort Reprimand seems to be where they sent the problem soldiers in Messmer's army, a fitting name. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. The only bit that does surprise me is that's the only spot where we see the Omen Killers, when it seems like they should be out and about doing their thing. Had a crackpot theory about America being an ant. Why not an uncle? Right, I might look something up real quick on the internet to try to figure out where I want to go next. So give me one moment. Actually, hold on. Let me think about this. So I've already killed X-Ikes. I got that. I guess I should really go to the Fire Giant, because I'm going to go to Farum Azula to get the, what's it called? The bell bearing up there from the Godskins, which sucks. Soink Scoob. Okay, so I figured out my new course of action. I'm going to ignore Borealis. I'm going to ignore the Godskin Cave, because it has another Godskin duo. And there is the really cool church over there. No, the church isn't over here, is it? Where is the thing? It's already... Okay, yeah. Wait, he's all the way over here? I thought he was way further to the left. Okay, no, there was the church over there. I thought so. This is one of the cooler ones as far as the lore is concerned with Melina. Somberstone, Minor, Bell-Bearing 3. I forgot that one was there, so I'm glad I made this detour after all. Sacred Tear. Alright, so... Englet, like, what, this way? Just wrong warp? I don't know how to wrong warp. Alright, let's talk to Melina.
Spoken echoes of Queen Marika linger here as well. Shall I share them with you? In Marika's own words, hark, brave warriors. Hark, my Lord Godfrey. We commend your deeds. Guidance hath delivered ye through each ordeal to the place ye stand. Put the giants to the sword and confine the flame atop the mount. Let a new epoch begin, an epoch glistening with life. Brandish the Elden ring for the age of the Erdtree.
And so, depending on how you take this set of dialogue here, it can make it sound as though they simultaneously do and or do not actually have possession of the Elden Ring, or they haven't brandished its power in any capacity, which it's very arguable. So, one of the most tantalizing sets of dialogue in the entire game.
We're almost there. The flame of ruin lies just ahead. I'm glad it was you I traveled with. I must tender my thanks to Torrent, too. Thank you, Torrent. Please continue to lend your aid. Till the end.
You wonder what they use for putrescent? I would need to double check, because I remember it's not Kigare. It's something of a similar idea as putrescence. Or Kigare. Implies the same stuff. X says you don't know how to wrong warp either, but it's a lot easier than it appears. You just teleport back to the round table hold and then Alt F4. I can't Alt F4 on a PS5. You got me.
Shall I turn your runes to strength? Let my hand rest upon you. For but a moment, share them with me. Your thoughts, your ambitions, the principles you would follow.
I have to close it with the PS menu, alright. Have I seen Migla's eye in his god model? Apparently he has an eclipse symbol around the pupil. I heard that was cut. I actually... Wait, no, his eyes are closed. I think. So maybe I'll just need to like look at that sometime. Alright. Is there anything else that I wanted to do here? I don't think so. I feel like there's something else I wanted to talk about, but I've forgotten. So we get some more graveyards around these churches of America. Oh yeah, this is the first church of America, and I've wondered whether or not they were numbered kind of like Catholic churches were numbered in their missions. I was like, what is this? Because I normally play offline. I was like, what is this red dot? Got a cool Lord Contenders Evergal with Vike, who is way, way, way weaker than Midra for some reason. That's just an HP guy. Got some angry dogs. So, coming up here, all of these damn thorn sorcery things, like, it makes me wonder if there's supposed to be any thematic connection to the thorns of rejection, or whatever they're called, with, like, the shadow tree. And whether or not that ties into, like, the Hornsent thorn sorceries. And whether or not the Hornsent could have, like, partaken in the war against the fire giants, which might help contextualize that one furnace description, which says, like, the fire giants haunt the sagas of the Hornsent. And if so, I wonder if that could relate to the so-called betrayal in the DLC story trailer. Normally I'd go and like fight Arganthy, but there's kind of like not really much of a reason to do it. Other than showing off the cool guardians, which I guess I could do that, but I don't know. That moment's passed a little bit. Mountaintops of the Giants, east. Impenetrable thorns. They are called impenetrable thorns, aren't they? Thank you. Alright. Oh yeah, I didn't read like half of these. Okay. A map of the mountaintops of the Giants, east. The remote depths of the eastern summit is the highest point in all the lands between, overlooking even the Flame Peak to the south. Not too much there. Mace shaped like a suspended metal droplet wielded by monks of the Eternal City. Forged from liquid metal from a silver tier, it is thoroughly tempered until hardened. Skill of Flowing Form temporarily transforms armament into its liquid form. Swing the armament like a whip to strike surroundings before slamming its teardrop-shaped head down. Then Mimic Tear Ashes. This spirit takes the form of the summoner to fight alongside them, but its mimicry does not extend to imitating the summoner's will. Mimic Tears are the result of an attempt by the Eternal City to forge a lord. So, because the Mimic Tears are summoned with HP, that does lead me to believe that HP is something that they would like lack natively, whereas a lot of the other spirits are summoned using FP, which is like more of a mind thing, which might be like recalling memories, which is why they take form, I guess. So this is one of many reasons why I think HP is tied to willpower. Like the Baldachin blessing that you get from Fia reduces the max HP, and she says that she takes in the player's will in Japanese. She calls it lively vigor in English. So I think HP equals willpower, and that's like verbatim what it is in Bloodborne, but I do try to take the games as separately as possible, but like to draw those parallels where I can. So anyway, just trying to think of like any other potential Eternal City connections to the DLC, because there's pretty much like nothing. I was really, really excited seeing like Ymir in the story trailer, and then it's just kind of like this own super self-contained thing, which elaborates on simultaneously everything and nothing at the same time with Meta. Global Sequence says, that's what trips you out. Radahn has impenetrable thorns, so does the Shadow Tree Avatar, even though there's no direct connection outside of the most vague Erdtree America stuff. So yeah, one of the things that I've been wondering and really considering is whether or not the Shadow Tree is... Okay, so I mentioned very briefly in passing before fighting Radahn whether or not America and the Newman / Miko of the Shaman Village are treeple, like tree people, because of the way that they've got like branches growing out of them. But if that were the case, then if America is a tree person to some degree, like I'm speaking very loosely here, mind, then would Radahn as her alter ego, her so-called shadow, so to speak, be responsible for the growth of the Shadow Tree? There's a lot to suggest that the Shadow Tree existed around that time, but I don't think there's anything specifically to denote that the Shadow Tree came into being after Radahn came into being. I don't know. And so, going back to all that random stuff with like so-called betrayals and the birth of gold and whatnot, and what I was talking about very early in the stream with like the Crucible, is if the birth of gold isn't like the birth of the gold of the Erdtree, like isn't necessarily like the first gold, if it's not primordial gold, could this be second gold, like the normal gold that we have now? And could the betrayal have been America betraying Godfrey and like going with Radahn and taking all of their grace, I guess? But as tantalizing as that idea is, I just can't really square it with what we see with the story trailer and America pulling out the gold from whatever the hell she's pulling it out of. Now I'm like trying to think, is there any potential way that that thing that she's pulling the gold out of, could that have been Godfrey or anything related to Godfrey, and that could have been like when she tarnished them? I don't really think that works at all. I'm just kind of like trying to figure it out. Oni, welcome on in, or is that O-N-Y? The DLC kind of made you start doubting just how much the devs even know their own story, to be honest. Like, you just kind of gave up looking for connections and a bunch of stuff thanks to it. Stuff like the Finger Creepers retcon just make you think they're making stuff up on the go. So, I mean, I'll give you a little bit of an insight into how the sausage is made, in that, like, Yamagiwa, like, one of the executive producers for Bloodborne, is like, oh, I had no idea what the hell was going on with the story until I watched YouTube videos about it later. So, not all of the devs are definitely on board, but the question is whether or not Miyazaki is, and I think it's very abundantly clear with how much has always been shuffled around in development that it's always been in service of the rule of cool, but it still would be nice to imagine that there's some kind of cohesive narrative despite it all, I suppose, but yeah, I don't know. Even if like this stuff is kind of made up, I don't necessarily mind it as far as like being like a lore content creator, I guess. I don't know. It's just like a fun hobby to me. I don't take it like too seriously, despite kind of having like a lot of I guess time invested into this. It's just like more of a brain teaser. And for me, like I have a lot of enjoyment like comparing the English and Japanese. And since I know like not very many people can like provide that kind of support to the community, it's, you know, pretty valuable in and of itself. So it's like scratching multiple itches for me, at least. Kyle said they obviously cut a lot, but they probably tried to make it fit well enough to still make sense with our glue, and who knows, they might add in stuff with patches. So I guess that is possible, because I mean, it's like a couple months after the release of the base game where we finally got the original quests completed with like Nefeli and Patches and Kenneth, but maybe it's only like 1 month. Maybe I'm like exaggerating a little bit, but I don't know. I'm pretty skeptical because the quests don't feel unfinished like they did with the base game. I don't really see what else they could add in that's comparable to make it work. Pokemon, nice to see you again. You don't remember the original story trailer for the base game being as cryptic as the DLCs? Oh no, the base game's story trailer was pretty straightforward, relatively speaking. Like, we don't get a lot of information, but it's just trying to like set up like a kind of murder mystery whodunit type deal. Whereas like when we all saw that story trailer, we're like, oh crap, it went down. And we still don't know what it is. And they changed it, and we're not with it anymore, and it'll happen to you. You want the Age of Abundance ending, where we get little Mickler? Yep, that ain't gonna happen. Man, it still really does bother me that he's like, hey, you're the Lord of the Erdtree. I'm like, bro, I haven't killed the fire giant. Why do you think I'm the Lord of the Erdtree? Or same thing with like Letta's dialogue. I feel like they kind of shot themselves in the foot by having the DLC take place, or like the access point to the DLC being behind Moog, because it's such a late game boss that the DLC just like vastly outscaled everything. I think it was smart what they did with the Shadow Tree Blessings to have a sense of progression going on. I don't know how well that would have worked for people who were like already like level 500 on the base new game, but commendable stuff nonetheless. Wait, where am I? Where's my church? So we're gonna get clapped by Okina. I was trying to get to the Grace. Oh Lord, he coming. This is not a dude I want to be headless against just because of like the status effect with Rivers. I was trying to heal. The range. Hey, you got it. Okay. Rivers O Blood and Okina Mask. With their Sacred Tear. We should get another Melina dialogue here. No? Oh, I think I got the what's called the one where she says we're close here, and I just assume she pops up here. Even though she doesn't? Okay. Rivers of Blood, weapon of Okina, swordsman from the land of reeds, a cursed weapon that has felled countless men. When Moog, the Lord of Blood, first felt Okina's sword and madness upon his flesh, he had a proposal, to offer the Okina the life of a demon whose thirst would never go unsated. So as far as the Japanese is concerned here, it says he offers him the life of a Shura, which is kind of like a Sekiro reference. So, yeah. Okina Mask, a wooden mask that depicts an old man baring his teeth. The source of the sobriquet, I don't know how to pronounce this, of the great swordsman of the land of reeds. Raises dexterity as it lowers focus. The more he sharpened his mind, the more the absurdities of the world came into stark relief. And so Okina renounced it all and rose to a higher plane. There was only himself, his katana, and its mastery. Before long, Okina became a demon of a swordsman. So I'm just trying to think of, like, the focus relation, because the horn scent also get their focus lowered when they do divine invocation. And in a certain sense, Okina's practices are reminiscent of asceticism, but his are more of a profane nature, which is kind of what it talks about. The absurdities of the world, the Japanese for it, uses like profane as like the physical world, as opposed to like a heightened spiritual world there. So like he understands like the profane nature of the world, and so he's like renounces the world and focuses on himself, which allows him to ascend to the higher plane. So I've wondered whether or not Moog meeting Okina is how Moog first came into contact with the Mother of Truth, and whether or not the wounds caused by Okina are just a byproduct of like what the Land of Reeds is going through. Like, if you bleed something enough, will that allow communion with the Mother of Truth, like because she craves wounds and all that stuff? But trying to think of like how all that fits in with like the blood fiends and whatnot. But anyway, I don't really fully buy into that theory. It's just kind of like some passing thoughts that I've had about it. Oh, he says aspiring Lord of the Erdtree. Doesn't Leda say that you are the Lord of the Erdtree though? Or maybe that's like based off of somebody's progression in their playthrough. We wore an onion around our belt. Was the style at the time. Exactly, sarcastic. Kyle just can't accept it. Get wrecked. Oh, he says Lord of the Old Order without aspiring. Okay. A fresh round of the DLC feels like I'm just being bullied until I get a few Shadow Tree fragments. Well, good for me that my first playthrough of the DLC, I didn't use any of it, so I felt bullied the entire time. No, that's a lie. I didn't really feel bullied in the overworld at all, with the exception of dealing with some of the stupid-ass furnace golems. But like beyond those, like the open world felt fine. Just some of the bosses felt a bit oppressive. Who the hell took Moog's body after you killed him into the Shadow Realm? It couldn't have been Mikola, right? It was Mikola as the cocoon, you know? Try not to think about it too hard. Pokemon had a similar unfortunate experience with the DLC's leveling system since you decided not to use the fragments early on in your first run. My condolences. Okay, so I think that's it. 35,000. I might just use... How much do I need? 40. Okay. We're just going to use some runes before we deal with the fire giant. I was afraid I was like a couple hundred off. I wasn't paying the closest of attention. Hey, how you not? Nice to see you again. How's it going? Alright, so what do I level? Dex, right? Should probably level health at this point. Yeah, because it... yeah, I'm just going to level figure. Because at this point, I'm going to get to the DLC without even like really needing to use the Godslayer Greatsword. And I'll just be able to get the Ancient Meteoric or Greatsword and use it without the Godslayer stuff. Anyway, moving on up. So you can summon Alexander for this fight. I guess I should do the Alexander stuff. I mean, he's just going to show up regardless. I'm not too worried about it. Some lore through this is where I just like skip over the lore. Alright, I'll do this like once or twice. And if I'm struggling, I might just go kill the ulcerated tree spirits for the crystal tears that I want to get for the DLC. I got distracted by the things. I'm gonna be honest, I totally forgot the golden seeds are there. That's like one of the parts of the game that I don't remember very well, just where the one time items like those are. Because once you complete the game, like go through New Game Plus, it doesn't really matter if you pick up golden seeds. So we've not done Alexander's quest yet, so that's why we don't have the summon sign out here. But honestly, I wouldn't use Alexander for this because I think the Fire Giant's easier without him. Because now we can mount Torrent and get around. The only difficult part is like when he does this attack, I think. Oh, he didn't even do it. Now he does it, of course. Of course. What a jerk. I thought it was closer. Oh, that should have been a double hit. Just gonna keep hitting the weak leg. If I don't get got like that. I'm gonna get got. I don't know if he killed Torrent or if he just hurt him. Okay, he just hurt him. Get some distance, recover some stam. Alright. You're not sure if you knew about those seeds or not? You normally have them maxed out at this point. I don't even remember what I've done. I know I didn't use all of my flasks. Not flasks. Didn't get all the sacred flasks. I didn't visit all those churches. Uh-oh. I'm doing no damage. Okay. I should have routed him before going into phase 2. I was trying to block, and I was not two-handing. It was not the best of moves. Alright. Rot is successful. That's all I needed. Oh yeah, I should go fight Murray. That's Marley Murray. For the Antspur Rapier. Actually, if I'm summoning, I probably don't really need it. Although it wouldn't be terrible for Radahn. But I shouldn't really need it. Not if I'm using blessings. Hey, we phased him. That only took forever. So we get the super cool phase transition, the Eye of Jupiter looking like thing. Give her some stamina. His role is so funny. Oh, he's not rotted anymore? That's not good. Run away! Okay, that's... I shouldn't have done what I was trying to do. I should have just fought him normally, but I wanted to be lazy about it. I was trying to do this. Even if it's a base mic, it'll be good enough. And then, hey, 2-hit, nice to see you again. So yeah, so as far as like the spirit summons which require HP to be summoned, they're all pretty much carnivorous. Is kind of the through line there. I'm actually a little bit surprised about the Blood Fiends. Alright, let's do that. That was a little bit awkward. Why did he actually pull out his weapon? That's annoying. I'm gonna get hurt for this. That's not good. And my mimic's pretty much dead. I'm out of... I don't have enough. Man, I suck. This was not the plan. Okay. Couldn't see what he was doing. I did not see that coming. Thought I was just holding the button. That's annoying. I forgot there's no actual crit spot on him. I didn't know what that was. I'm gonna die. Okay. Blood Fiend wants you to bleed. Makes sense. Well, we do actually see the Blood Fiends like consuming blood in the Shadowlands. Like they're crouched around like a bunch of their buddies' bodies, and they like the ones that have the glowing red eyes will be drinking the blood of their compatriots. Let's see how this will work.
Greetings. Are you here for...
That was a lot more expensive than I expected.
Greetings. Are you here for...
You guys are complaining about the cutscenes? Oops. Didn't mean to do that.
Can't even. I'm not even the... You should keep your... I know you...
I should have walked away. Okay. Okay, no, that's fine. I was afraid of that.
Well, I took you no matter it's all out your own.
Can I strengthen this? No, I can't. Beast Lure, Curse Blood, Fetid, Poison. Actually, we could keep the poison pots on. Good enough. This time I won't try to just two-hand my sigil, because apparently my Mimic hates that. It just makes more sense to leave him one-handing. So that's one thing that I did notice. Actually, I've got an idea. This is way too far. This will make my Mimic perform better. Not sure about land squirts. So they're bloodless creatures, just like Miranda flowers. So it makes sense to me that they would require other blood to be summonable. And we also find a bunch of land squirts around like Arteria leaves. Might die for this. go. Perfect. Wait, it said it did 63 damage, but then the giant literally had completely full health bar. That's funny. This is gonna hurt. Can't tell if I got off torrent or not. I did not. That was so weird. Alright, well, he's rotted. That's all I needed. Uh-oh. I can crit him? The crit's on his chest? Oh, really? He's gonna hurt. That rot breath angle, though. Oh, did he shoot the sun thing at me? Whew. Don't kill it. Let him rot you. Press the wrong button. Oh God. So I want to run towards the sun. Just to set it off. So I've got one heal left. Regain some stam. Oh man, I'm gonna be so salty if he like one taps me right now. Well, oh please kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him. Ah, no, that's fail. Spam triangle. Damn it! I don't think that counted. Even if I just went aggro and hit him that one time, I didn't think the thing was ticking down that quickly. Oh, you can't crit him in the first phase. Okay, that makes more sense then. Okay, you need the eye open. I don't think I've ever done that then. Regular damage in this game seems so tame without the aura buff, body buff, and optimal talismans and tears to boost damage. Yeah, I could definitely be playing a bit more optimally. Flame grant me strength and whatnot. Hell yeah, take that 1 point of damage. I tried rolling. That was annoying. He just got poison potted, I think. I don't see what he's doing. Wow. At least you get to actually see all the boss's moves. Not unless I'm, I was gonna say not when I'm right under him. Oh god, that sucked, that tracking. I mean, that was definitely me. Sonic Scoob? Okay. Ooh, that's kind of scary. Oh, I was not expecting that. I'm gonna try to delay. Or not. I'm out of range. That sucks. I thought I just got Hadokened off the map. I'm glad I did that. Holy crap. He's gonna get phased, isn't he? Kind of what I figured. Not exactly sure what I'm rocking. This is kind of a basic faith strength build right now. Alright, here we go. Phase 2. Oh, he's not rotted anymore? Was he never rotted to begin with? I'm screwed. I mean, not really. It's just for that strat, it would have been nice if I did things a little bit better. I'm actually going to have to kill him with damage. I was wondering if... yeah, okay. Oh, man. Okay, I thought that was death. Ugh. I know I didn't get it. Oh, it just blew up. Okay. Please don't kill me. Alright, so I was not expecting to be one-tapped. I will put on my Flame Resistance Talisman. Bro, I like hardly ever had trouble with the Fire Giant, and now I'm like dying this much. Yeah, I definitely don't need this on right now. I don't have the mounted one either. Oh well. Oh, he's so sorry for the giant when the player fights him. Yeah, he does have a bit of a rough time of things, doesn't he? So I think I need to like already be double jumped for that or something. That's the one move that I always screw up by him. Wait, why did I get off Torrent? That doesn't make sense. I knew that was coming. Come on, attack. I'm surprised that hit me. I guess I should be using my Wondrous Physic Flask a bit more. Damn it, too early. Let's try to cut him more towards the Mimic. For some reason, you never use Torrent during this fight. I think it makes it a lot easier. Whew. I didn't know he could just slam his hand on the tree to make my Mimic just walked into that. That's sad. Uh-oh. Oh, sweet. My Mimic must have dumplinged himself. Dumplinged himself. Alright. Oof. Alright, phase transition. You like fighting with the Spectral Lance? For the ranged battle. I've not used Spectral Lance too much. I do wish that we had more options to use items in the DLC for like the base game without going into New Game Plus. Because there's like a lot of really cool / fun weapons. And come on, I tried to take this off. There's a lot of really cool and fun weapons in the DLC. We just don't really have a ton of access to. Oh, sweet. Oh! I screwed it up, chat. Wasn't fast enough. That's not a generous enough window. My one chance. To stab him in his stupid eye. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Oh, no, it's that one. It's that one. We're gonna YOLO. This should be GG, yeah. Remembrance of the Fire Giants. That was way more painful than, normally is for me. Probably because I have like such a half-ass build right now. Yeah, you can always have someone drop you the items. I just wish there was like a way you could do a new game plus file, or like a new game but with like access to a complete build without having to have somebody else drop you the items. Damn. Okay. I'm tempted. Yeah, may as well just keep pumping up HP. Alright, so next we will probably end the stream before I talk to Melina, because this will be a good like starting point to go into Farum Azula and deal with the Godskins, so I could get the damn bell bearing before I head into the DLC. Which is kind of ironic because I don't really intend on using a base weapon type rather than the somber ones, but nonetheless. Almost jumped off the world there. Okay. Yeah, new game plus 0, exactly. And a boss rush mode. Yeah, I'm really surprised we didn't get a boss rush of some sort with the DLC, especially because they added one with Sekiro, which you'd imagine people would definitely want that for Elden Ring. Oh well. DLC got us too aggressive a little bit. I was really tripped up fighting the Godskin Apostle because it wasn't aggressive enough from what I expected from having just done the DLC. Is there the Somber Bearing? Okay, you might be right about that. I just tend to remember the Godskin Duo one, but I don't remember where the Somber one is. I'll need to like look up a couple of things that I'm missing to actually get me prepared for the DLC. So, with any luck, we might be getting into the actual DLC maybe towards the end of tomorrow's stream. So, for anybody who's joining in, thank you so much. I do try to go for about like 3 hours, and I'll go over if the content like kind of makes sense to do that. But yeah, so we'll be continuing these playthroughs daily until like we finish the DLC and the base game and whatnot. So. Yeah, I'll be sticking around for a long time, and for everybody who's been joining me, I definitely appreciate that. We'll be going live again, same time tomorrow of 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, until then, take care, stay safe. Last Protagonist out.